Okay, hi. Um, I'm back. um, yeah, so today it's Wednesday again, and I kind of um, made this promise to myself that I would upload a video every week. And honestly, it's really scary because in general, like opening up is really scary, and those are the things that really mean the most to me. And so honestly, I feel really anxious to just share it because I don't know if my words or the way I express it are able to capture what I'm actually wanting to say. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Oh, it's really warm here where I am, and I'm a little bit tired, so let's just see how it goes. And if it's really bad, I will just not upload it. So before we start, I wanted to show you something. So today I want to talk about the second lesson that I learned from depression. And that lesson says, living life means that I accept change and learn to let go. Living life means that I accept change and learn to let go. And it might sound similar to the last lesson that was about grieving, and that how grieving is important and healthy and necessary for my well-being. But I feel like grieving and letting go and accepting change are different things, because grieving is, I think, a very intense process, and yeah, I think I will get into it a little bit more. But before I start, I want to show you something. So for every lesson, so I'll give a little bit of backstory. I always like to doodle or to draw, and I like to draw like things that looked a little similar to mandalas, but not really. And when I went to a what is it called, psychosomatic clinic in 2020, and I stayed there for 10 weeks to really focus on myself and learn how to just cope with different things, and continue my process of healing and just get further support. And while I was there, a lot of people that were there with me were actually drawing, or they had those little books, drawing books or booklets, where you could draw, there were mandalas drawn, pictures of mandalas in it, and you could just fill them out, and it was like a kind of like a mindfulness thing, and they really enjoyed it, and it was really helping them to slow down and calm down, and I really liked that. And when I saw those mandalas, I thought, wow, to myself, I thought, wow, I could do that. I really love drawing, and I could really draw some really cool mandalas. And so afterwards I started drawing mandalas, thinking about releasing my own mandala book. And while I was drawing them, I started considering releasing it in another context as a mandala book, but I ended up not doing that, and I actually ended up putting those mandalas into my book. So every lesson that I have, I assigned one mandala to it, and I thought it would be really nice to just have something like that in every lesson. And then also, if people are interested, that are reading and want to reflect on the one chapter, they can just draw it, paint the mandala, and maybe yeah, just reflect on their experience, or yeah, find a way to connect with that lesson. I don't know. I thought it was really cute. And so the mandala for this one, I hope you can see it. Oh, maybe I can put it on full screen. Let's see. No, I'll just leave it here. 1 second. Okay, so this is the mandala. Can you see it? Hope you can. It looks like flowers that are about to die. This is what it looks like to me. Or yeah, they look a little bit tired already. And then the first lesson, I want to show it as well. Is the mandala looks like this. They're a little bit more simple, those ones. Hope you can see it. And to me, it looks like a cocoon, like where the butterflies inside of it before the butterfly gets released. And I thought it was a very beautiful image of this time of grieving, that you go into the dark and just like huddle up. I don't know if that's a word, and just digest everything and kind of turn into a new version of yourself by grieving. Yeah, and the second mandala is this one, like I've already showed. And I honestly didn't do them with the lessons in mind. I just drew them, and then afterwards kind of saw which one would fit which lesson. Yeah, I just wanted to show that. And I'm writing it on Scrivener. It's like a writing program that you can use for like bigger projects or books or screenplays or something. Okay, let's talk about this lesson. Living life means that I accept change and learn to let go. I think in the last video I talked a lot about the time before my depression, and in the first video, like in the very first video, I think I just gave like a general overview and then also my experience of depression. And I thought when I started writing down those lessons that I would really talk about the time, like the really intense dark times during my depression and how I learned through those things. But now when I think about it, I really want to talk about like growing up and what that was like, and how I kind of like want to pinpoint or what do you call it, like yeah, it doesn't matter. I want to talk about the fact that growing up I didn't learn those lessons and why I didn't learn them, and kind of maybe point out the things in our world that might have not gone so well regarding when it comes to getting to know yourself, your talents, your interests, your capabilities, your limits. Because I feel like those are things that I really had to relearn or learn again when I fell into depression and kind of like walked through it and had to look at all the things I hadn't looked at for so long. And I think it really made me re-examine everything that I had learned and that I believe or used to believe, and really made me look at, okay, do you want to live like this, or it seems like it's not working out for you, so how can you change? And yeah. So I feel like I really had to learn the hard way, all those little lessons that I think would be so much more helpful to learn from the beginning of life, like growing into them and not just like falling down completely and then having to, yeah, kind of crawl out of the darkness all by yourself again and like figure it out. I mean, I wasn't all by myself, but like I think relearning things when you're an adult is much harder than, or takes much more digging and like rearranging, and it's a much heavier task than just learning it as you grow up. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a, like I said, in a pretty big family. I have 3 siblings. I'm the second oldest, and it's 3 sisters and then 1 little brother. He's the youngest, and yeah, there just weren't the, sorry, the thing is, I don't know if I, because everything I experienced, of course, is always entangled with other people and relationships, and I thought about this before. I'm a little bit torn whether or how much I want to share about, like, how, if it's okay to share stories that involve not only me but other people and their stories, and there's, yeah, because I think everyone has a right to their own story, and maybe I will check on that. I think I will not share here on YouTube like very personal, like stuff that has to do with other people, because this is very public. But I think I will write about it and then just ask the people if that's okay to put it in, the people that have to do with the stories. Okay, so then I will leave that out for now on here. Yeah, so I mean, I wrote down those lessons because I really, like, I was just sitting down thinking, okay, what was the big thing that I learned in all those years? Or what were the big things? And I just like wrote everything down, and those lessons came out and they made a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I think change, accepting change, especially in the areas that are really give me a sense of safety, like when those areas change, it gives me a lot of, yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, and I think it's very natural for a lot of people. And yeah, change always entails letting go of something, like a version of myself, or some kind of relationship, some kind of situation, or like just, yeah. And and I'm thinking about, yeah, I think I will use this example. So yesterday I woke up feeling very, like, I felt like I had a little bit of a headache. I felt very tense in my back and very uncomfortable, just very uncomfortable and not well in my body. And I had a lot of plans for what I wanted to do in that during the day. And as I started into my day, I realized, okay, that like if I really wanted to pursue the things that I wanted to do today, it would take so much effort. I would feel like I'd be like pushing against the current of like when you're trying to swim against the current in a river, it's really difficult. And so I just surrendered kind of and said, okay, I don't feel well, I'll just rest and just do, like, I'll just like try to do the things that I can do, but other than that, I'll just go very slowly and just do the things that my body really needs, like slowing down, eating well. I watched a series that really gives me a lot of comfort, and I ended up doing a few things of what I wanted to do, but of course not all the things. And it was a nice day, and this morning I felt so much better, and I thought, wow, this resting really helped. And even though it wasn't what I had anticipated, it was really necessary to do that. And I think years ago I would have never accepted that. I wouldn't have even listened to what my body is feeling, and I would have just started my day in the way that I thought was like normal, like, I don't know, getting up, taking a shower, drinking coffee, eating breakfast, making a to-do list, and just doing it how I had learned, or what I thought was normal. And I think in the past years, like with this depression, I mean, it was always different every day, and sometimes I was like doing well, and then suddenly like this deep sorrow came up, or I woke up and I felt so bad, even though the days before had been fine. And I really had to learn to just like cope with the fact that my emotional state was like fluctuating, and that I'd have to adapt to it, and I couldn't just override it, because then it just wouldn't work. I would like crumble. And that was really hard to accept too, because it really forced me to slow down and to listen and to just let go of some things that I like had planned differently. And I think that's with all of that, that's what I learned, that it's okay if if I had planned things differently, and then I only managed to do it in a certain way, but not all the way that I wanted it to do. And and that really entails also letting go of letting go of so many things, like this belief I can only be loved if I'm like a super efficient. I mean, what does that even mean? But when I'm a super efficient person who checks off a lot of things from her to-do list every day, and when I wasn't able to do it, I felt so much shame, and like I wasn't enough, and like I wasn't worthy. And letting go of that belief that I'm only valued or loved or okay or a valid human being if I like provide, or if I do something that's efficient, instead of like listening to my body, taking it slow, resting, all those things. I had to let go of the belief that that I can control everything, because I can't. And especially in the realm of emotions, like it's so, you can't control your emotions. The only thing you can do is like become aware of them, and kind of find ways to hold them while they are there, and like befriend them, talk to them, understand them. That's the only way. Like you can't control them. And I mean, I had this belief about myself, like who I was, what I was capable of, what I wanted to, who I wanted to be, who I wanted to be for others, how I wanted to be there, show up for others and be there for them, and like having to let a lot of that go was really hard. And yeah, let me just take a sip of this tea. No, it's still very too warm. And I know that I'm speaking in very abstract terms, and I think I'm just so confused of how to talk about the time, because I really feel like I'm kind of out of it. I mean, I think I will never be the person again that I used to be, of course, like you always change and grow and evolve. And I think I will always continue to be tender and sensitive and emotional. Like this is not going away, but I think I've learned to live with it, and yeah, it's so weird. It's like two things. Like I think like on one hand, depression really means that something is coming up that really wants to be resolved and felt through, and you're able to like really, when you really say yes to it and really embrace it and embrace this journey with depression, you're really, or I felt I was really able to resolve a lot of things that were or to kind of feel, what do you call it, like resolve or acknowledge things that had been really difficult for me in the past that I hadn't resolved or that I hadn't acknowledged. And by acknowledging them and feeling the feelings towards those situations, or just difficult struggles that I had that I hadn't acknowledged, just by feeling them I could kind of release them and let them go, and by that lessening my weight that I was carrying with this depression. And so there's this one side of like resolving things that are coming up, and you're really becoming lighter and really realizing, okay, I'm not feeling so heavy anymore, I'm not drained as much as I used to be, and I'm really coming out of it, in a sense. So that I kind of feel like, okay, it's over, like I'm not in this really dark depression anymore. And at the same time, I feel like this period of depression really marks a transition in my life, where I'm like, I used to be one person before, and now I'm very much a different person. And because I feel like the person that I used to be, or the person that I was before that depression, was using so many coping mechanisms in order to survive, or to had learned how to cope in a difficult environment, and that, in my opinion or in my experience, mostly comes from childhood. Like the first few years in my life really really impacted me a lot, and my impacted how I interacted with the world since then, and what I believe about myself, what I believe about my self-worth, and what I believe the world is like. And I feel like before that depression, I was really living in a lot of ways, like in survival mode, and trying to be someone that was acceptable or lovable in like the category, or in the way that I thought that's the only way to get love, which was not fully authentic. It was just like a way, like I had learned as a child, okay, this is how you get love, this is how you get appreciation, okay, I might as well be like that so that I can get that love. And by trying to be like that, I rejected a lot of parts of myself that weren't just recognized or weren't mirrored back to me that they're loved too, those sides. And so I learned to kind of stuff them away, push them down, and continue to just show the parts that were acceptable and lovable from what I had learned. And so I think most of my life I was living in this default mode in a lot of ways. Like before I used to be super outgoing, or that's how I saw myself, very social, very extroverted, and really wanting to connect with people as much as I could. And now I'm I'm the total opposite. I mean, of course, it also amounts to the fact that depression really just takes away a lot of energy, or it uses up a lot of the energy that you would normally use for socializing, I think. But I realized that I really enjoy like environments that are more quiet with less people, and really getting to know one person at a time and getting to know them very well, and having more intimate relationships and not many more superficial ones. I mean, I think I always was interested in like really connecting with people on a deeper level, but it's just, I think it makes sense that when you're connecting with a lot of people, there's just not the capacity and the time and the space to really to go really deep, or to really become just very close to someone, I think. Like coming back to that thing that I wanted to say before, that there are two things. Like I think I've resolved a lot of the things that came up during depression, and now I think I also realized that I'm not the person, that my natural way of being is less or are very different to who I used to be. So I have really changed, and I need time to digest things. I need time to to reflect things that I have experienced in my daily life now, and I need time to rest. I'm very sensitive to a lot of things that to my environment, to what's happening around me. So when I get overloaded with too much information or stimuli, it's just, I don't enjoy it, and it takes me a while to get back calm down after that. And so I don't know how I wanted to like weave that together with this change. I mean, it has a lot to do with change to go through that. So, and it has to do a lot with letting go, and letting go I really let go my self-image, or a lot of who I thought I was, in order to get here and to find peace. And I think that's really what life is. I mean, coming back to the nature example, nature changes all the time, and like all the trees let go of all their leaves, or most of the trees, during winter, like when you're in the part of the world where there are the different seasons. And I'm sure in the other parts of the world there is also change visible. So it's a really natural part of life, and and I think it's also very freeing to live in this awareness that change happens, because it, or at least for me, it made me much more appreciative of everything that was good in my life at a certain, like, I'm so thankful for all the things that I have right now, because I know, like, they're here now, and who knows what's going to happen. And honestly, it's not that important. Like, what's really important is now, and then just, well, I don't know if I'm explaining this so well. Like, yeah, I think by accepting the fact that everything changes all the time, and that things are like coming and going, people are coming and going, I've really learned to just like be thankful for what I have, and to really honor the moments that I have now, and to not worry too much about, is this person going to be here forever, or is, like, what I have, the things that I have, or yeah, whatever I have now, like, is this going to last forever or not, and to be anxious, but to really focus on, okay, what do I have now, and what can I be grateful for today. And that really helped me to cope with the fact that life means change, and life means letting go. And I think it, like, for anyone who goes through a big change in their life, it brings up a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and a lot of like the feeling of being unsettled. And I think it's a big chance. Like, for me, it was a big chance, because it really made me want to find ways to find grounding in these times of uncertainty, and made me question, okay, where is my safety really coming from? What things do I do in my day that give me the sense of safety and grounding, and what are the things that do the opposite, and how can I maybe adjust those to give me a little bit more of a sense of grounding. And there are so many small things, like I really dedicated myself to doing, like, to creating routines, like morning routines and evening routines, that made me feel safe and grounded and connected to myself, because those are the things that I can actually influence, and that I actually have a control over. Like, if everything around me crumbles, like, I know I can choose to do my morning, like the yoga, and drink tea and journal, and in the evening, like, think about all the things that I'm grateful for. And whenever I feel like super unsettled during the day, I can do like somatic practices that ground me, or breathe, or lay in the grass to like feel grounded, and or talk about how I'm feeling. That really helps me too. Like, I found so many little ways to connect myself back to my body, to myself, to here, to now, and not get lost in the worrying or what if. And I think that that's one of the biggest blessings that I got from all those years of uncertainty and so much doubt and struggle. Like, it really forced me to again and again come back to now, and to just learn to really calm my worries. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm really good at it, or that I've like mastered it, but I think I've become more aware of the fact that this, like, living in an imaginary future that hasn't even happened yet, and worrying about that is not helpful, and that the only way to find peace and grounding and the things that I'm looking for are here and now, and this is the only place where I can feel safe. So I think that's what this lesson has really brought me, like the gifts I got from that. And I realized that the only way to find ease is to just accept things, and that sounds so much easier said than done, because like, especially in the realm of emotions and feelings, like accepting that I'm feeling like I don't know, anxious or scared or nervous or totally down or totally lost. Like accepting those things are really scary. And at the same time so freeing, because once I told myself, okay, I can't do anything today, or I feel so heartbroken right now, or I feel so lost. Like it was kind of like, okay, I said it and I accept this is how I feel. So instead of trying to push myself or trying to force myself to change, let me just like be with this for a moment and then ask, what can I do to just nurture you right now, or this feeling? And oftentimes it's like when I was so anxious about finances, like that was a big one. Because I'm getting financial support from the German state. And it's like a huge confusing, or to me, very confusing system. And there's a lot of, like you have to be very open and share a lot of your private stuff with them in order to get the financial support. And have to do everything right and be very on top of it, like share with them everything that in case anything changes in your life, or like I had the feeling I had to do everything right in order to really get the financial support that I needed, and gave me so much anxiety and stress. And I think that was 2021 when I started to like ask for the support. And in that time I felt so much anxiety, like figuring out how to do this, and then talking to the person that was in charge of supporting me from there, figuring out which way was the best and how I could do it. And I felt so much anxiety in that time, and I really realized in that time that it's not about whether I get the support or not. I mean, yes, in a way it is, but at the same time it's about how can I find ways when I feel so anxious to calm my system. And oftentimes it wouldn't be like to fill out this form as soon as possible or get this information, but it was like, okay, I'm feeling so anxious, I just need to take a nap, or I just need to make myself a tea, or I just need to tell my mom how I'm feeling, and that's it. And then after that, once I feel a little bit more calm, I can continue like filling out the form or something. It's not about getting somewhere to be freed from the anxiety, but like to find ways to, or to accept that I'm anxious now, and then find very small, simple ways to calm my system. That was a big lesson for me there too. Yeah. Okay, anything else? I think I can't really think of something right now. I don't know how long this video is because I turned, I'm filming with an iPad and I turned it around so that I don't see the screen. But I think not every video has to be that long. And I mean, it's just kind of like research for me anyway. So I'll just use what I have now, and I'm sure some other things will come up too. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I'm glad I got to share the mandalas. I'm excited about them. And yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm not sure what my book will look like in the end, and it's a really scary and exciting and big project for me. But I'm so glad that I'm doing it, and it's very, for me, it's very freeing to be able to talk about what I learned, even though sometimes I think it's too general and not specific enough. But I think I will figure out my the mode, or how I'm doing that once I start like putting it down into words. And yeah, I think it's a good way to mix like like what I found in general, and then like adding in different situations that helped me, or that were like significant for me. and then maybe some diary entries or poems or my art. Oh, I'm excited. It will be so nice, and I really want it to be a book that's like that you enjoy taking into your hands and looking through, like something that really inspires and gives a sense of, wow, life is exciting and so rich and so full of different things and experiences. And I really want it to be like a encouraging and inspiring book. And I hope I'll manage to find a way to make it into that. So yeah, thank you for being part of this, and I hope you have a very beautiful rest of your day, and I wish you all the best from the bottom of my heart.